Hola, ¿qué tal? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Meg James, your Move to Spain mom, and you're at episode Treinta. We're talking all about a Spain spotlight. And today we're talking about the islands in Spain. Now, before we get into the Balearic Islands of Spain, I want to talk about the moving boxes that you'll see, and the conditions around me will start over the next few weeks to immensely change. As I've shared, we're moving to the Costa del Sol, to Estepona, Spain in a few short weeks here. And so we're wrapping up our almost two full years here in Madrid, Spain. So bittersweet, looking forward to a next chapter and looking forward to bring you all with me. But let's stay beach focused. My move is beach focused, and today's episode is beach focused. If you are someone who's looking to travel in Spain, we started our time on the Canary Islands and Tenerife, and we're very familiar with the islands. We have so many more Canary Islands to explore, but we have explored 3 of the 4 Balearic Islands. So let's get into those today and see what might be a good spot for you to visit. Okay, so for the Balearic Islands in Spain, you may be familiar if you look at a map that we have both the Canary Islands, which are closer to Africa, right? They'll be closer actually to us in Estepona near the Africa border down kind of south, kind of towards Morocco. And then there's the Balearic Islands, which are off the coast, say, of not Valencia, but that side of Spain. So they are easier to get to. The Balearic Islands are much more accessible. They're usually under an hour flight from Madrid directly. And I would say they're probably even in some ways more popularly visited than the Canary Islands. There are 4 islands in the Balearic Island system. So we have Mallorca, which is probably the most heard of. Then Menorca, and then Ibiza, and then Formentera, a very small island. So these are all just my personal opinion. Everybody you talk to will say something different, but I feel very strongly, having visited 3 of the 4, and I'll explain why we didn't get to Formentera and why we may not get to Formentera shortly. But let's start first with Mallorca. I always recommend Mallorca as the first Balearic Island that families should visit because it really is so beautiful. It has that combination of city in Palma, their capital there, and then also has just the most beautiful waters that we've ever seen probably in our lives. The Mediterranean in Mallorca is alive. It's just so, the blue hues, regardless of the time of year you go, it's just such a beautiful scene there. So I really recommend Mallorca. I find that the piscinas naturales, or like the coves that they have that you can dive into and have some refreshing cold jumps that are little pools that form from the ocean, are such a great way to hang out as a family. There's a lot more privacy in a lot of the beaches in Mallorca we found. You can go into calas, I think they call them there in Mallorca. The languages in the beaches are still Spanish, but they have their own dialects or accents or languages, some would say. And so they're a little bit different. So the wording that you may see on street signs and in restaurants is a little bit different than traditional Castellan Espanol. It's just a different Castilian Espanol. It's just a different wording. So they call their beaches their calas. And we stayed at Cala de Or, which is in the southern end of Mallorca, and we really loved our stay there. We rented something on booking.com, super affordable. The homes there can be elaborate, but there's also a lot of very affordable rentals. That's what we stayed in, and we loved our time there. Fresh seafood, the experience of the city, but then also getting to be in these beautiful waters. We went in November, and we found it to be a perfect off-season time where the expenses of the trip were much lower than in the summer months, but still was warm enough where even our then 10 or 11-year-olds swam. And so we would not go in, but it was still beautiful, warm weather that you could enjoy. So I highly recommend Mallorca. Okay, the second Balearic Island that I want to talk about today is Menorca. So Menorca, I think, is a little bit less talked about than the other islands, and we really enjoyed our time there. We went around this time last year. We went at the end of the school year, so late June in 2024, and it was a beautiful island, also with beautiful water, beautiful piscinas naturales also. I thought it was a little more chill than Mallorca. Menorca would be a really good fit for families that are looking to maybe not have as much pomp and circumstance or as much formal or fancy things like Mallorca offers. It's just a much more laid back environment. Think more of like beach flip-flops, not dressing up for dinner. We went to a really sweet local restaurant that I'll tag the name in here that was family owned. And it just felt like a really calm vacation that we could recharge, enjoy time at the beach, and just enjoy the beautiful sights without like a lot of fancy restaurants or big city capitals and things to go to. So we really liked our time in Menorca. The third island in the Balearic Islands that I'm talking about today is Ibiza. And I'm just gonna be honest here. This is unpopular to some people, especially if you're an Ibiza fan. We are not fans of Ibiza. In fact, there are only 2 places that we have visited. So we've gone to northern mainland Spain. We've gone to the south. We've gone, obviously around all the towns and cities near Madrid. We've had a lot of travel experiences in the islands. Ibiza and Barcelona are the 2 areas that our family did not prefer in Spain. But out of both of them, Ibiza was by far our least favorite place we visited. So why? Well, we went in August of last year, so I think that's already the first rule that we violated. Going to the Balearic or Canary, but Balearic Islands in August is a no-no because it's so packed. Everybody who leaves Madrid and the big cities of Spain heads to the islands or the beach in general, and it becomes so overpopulated by tourists that it's not enjoyable. We just felt so scrunched in at the pool, and there was really no beach space, and we prefer being out of like mainstream beaches and finding our own little tropical places to hang out, and you could not find that in August. So I think that was offense number 1. Number 2, Ibiza definitely has and is known for a more bohemian vibe. Just think of like Birkenstocks and hippie vibes of people who really are very carefree, but not in the sense of it being a positive thing to us. It just felt very different as a family being there. And I know many families who choose Ibiza for their family vacation, but I just felt it to be much more of a party atmosphere. I found it to be somewhere that had very heavy alcohol drinking compared to Mallorca and Menorca. And it was just not as pretty to us. I mean, it definitely had beautiful waters. Anywhere in the Balearic Islands would have beautiful waters. But we were not like, oh, I cannot wait to get back to Ibiza. Also, the flight to and from Ibiza, which was on Ryanair, which is, a normal airline that you take here in Spain, felt like a party. It was all hen parties, they call them in the UK. So all bachelor parties, all young kids, drunk. We saw people throwing up in the airport. We saw just the vibe was so different to us than compared to Mallorca and Menorca. And it was one location we would not choose to go back to. With that in mind, we actually had a day trip planned to Formentera. That's the last and 4th Balearic Islands in Spain. And the reason we didn't take the ferry to go into Formentera was solely because of the month in August that we were there. We were told by so many people that although the water is beautiful, it's a must do, we chose not to do it because there were so many people in Ibiza doing the same day trip. So it felt a lot like everything we're experiencing that we don't like here in Ibiza, even though it may be a more calm environment there, they're all coming to that trip. So it's going to feel more crazy than we would have liked. So should we choose to visit Formentera, we definitely would go back in a different time, probably not August. And unfortunately for Formentera, I think typically you fly through Ibiza, and we don't have any interest after our experience flying through Ibiza again or flying to Ibiza. And so we did get to have to miss out on Formentera, but I do hear that if you are in Ibiza and maybe it's not your cup of tea or you expect it to be something different, Formentera may be a place that you could both stay or do day trips to that could be a really good fit for you. Now, overall, I would say the Balearic Islands are, and this surprised us, but are very British, German, Dutch visited islands. And so if you're going to the islands, the Balearic Islands of Spain, and that's your first initial introduction to Spain, you may be surprised that it doesn't feel as Spanish as you anticipated. Now, this is the truth a little bit of the Costa del Sol area that we're moving to as well. However, each pueblo has their own culture in Costa del Sol, and so we thankfully have found one that's not like Marbella, that is very Spanish, authentic Spanish, and it just feels a lot more connected to Spain. Now, obviously, the islands are part of Spain, and they are Spain, but it doesn't always feel that way. In fact, you could be on the beach and hearing people speak German, hear British people, and it's definitely very touristy. And so just keep that in mind if you're considering the Balearic Islands as your one choice of visiting Spain. I think if I was to make the ideal itinerary for someone and they've really loved beautiful water, I would not want them to miss Mallorca, but I also wouldn't want them to miss mainland Spain. So I think I would say, I would fly into Madrid, spend some time in the city, and then take a quick flight over to Mallorca. And if you could, try to squeeze in a trip to either San Sebastian or Asturias, just so you could experience the northern parts of Spain as well. That would be kind of, to me, the trio of an amazing way to get a good trip to Spain. So that's my opinion on the Balearic Islands. We are looking forward to moving to the Costa del Sol and being a little bit closer to start exploring more of the Canary Islands besides Tenerife, as well as some of the Spanish cities that are in Africa that Spain owns. So looking forward to sharing more about our Spain hot spotlights as we go. And I want to make sure you know that I am not going to be as available the month of June as we move late June here and into July. But if you are making a move and you want more information on how to make a move to Spain, what that could look like for you and your family, I'm happy to connect over email. And also I can be your Move to Spain coach on a call, or I have my course linked as well. So looking forward to hearing more about your opinion of the Balearic Islands. What did we miss? What do you wish that we had spent more time on? What do you disagree with? And what are your favorite Canary Islands? And that's something that we'll talk about in a future episode. Ciao.